Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going to look at why did a reel fail and see if we can possibly give that reel a second chance. This is a reel failure. It is a Penn. I believe it's the 320 GT1 or GTI, and it is completely stuck. There's no moving on that. There is a free spool that, well, it gets to about there, the release, but that feels like that's broken as well. And I found it at a local flea market for only a couple of dollars. And I always think these are nice project reels to try and figure it out. Also, it just happens that I have, well, a little bit of a bag here with two of these reels in there. They were missing the front side plates to them. I don't know how they got lost, but somebody was selling those quite a few years ago, and I said, sure, I'll take them. When I did, well, I wound up putting them in a bag with no particular use, and here comes the use, right? So we're going to try and figure out, why is this thing stuck? It's very unusual for a Penn reel like this to stick, and this one's just not doing much of anything here. So we'll take it apart. May have to substitute parts from another reel, but we'll try and get it going again, and well, we'll see how it takes us and how to do that. If you like these kinds of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. The channel seeks to show you how to give a reel a second chance, or more importantly, how to keep your reel running and, well, fishing for a long time to come, and hopefully catching a lot of fish along the way. My first part of the diagnosis is, let's pull this Pawl assembly here. See if maybe it's a sticking pawl that's causing the issue. Well, we have a pawl here that's just totally shot. It's totally broken off. So, yeah, and it's frozen into the case. I'll bet you the reel's going to turn now. Well, there you go. It's as simple as that, right? Somebody just had a bad pawl, and this reel turns. Boy, if they could all be that easy, right? Well, I don't know how that rusted in place, but I have, as I mentioned, two assemblies here. One of them seems to have that pawl cap in it, so we're going to take care of that. I also noticed this doesn't seem right, so let's go ahead and keep doing the work on this reel. And, well, a word of caution, I guess, as you purchase reels from a flea market or a yard sale or wherever you may find one, eBay or whatever, and the word of caution is to fully test out the reel to the extent that you can. Now, some of them are a little bit easier to test than others. In this case, all we knew was it was completely locked up, and there's not much you can do there. But if you notice that it's locked up and you cannot test, then take that into consideration when you are making an offer on the reel, because you don't want to get stuck with something that may cost you an awful lot of money to repair and may be substandard by the time you do. So that's what happened with those two reels that are in the bag here. I don't know where the gear side plate, handle, and outer assembly went, but when I was searching around, somebody had this bag here with the two bodies of the reel and the like, and I always thought, well, that's convenient. One of these days maybe we'll find the mate. We found the mate. Alright, I've removed the 4 screws. That should enable us to remove the side plate. And the side plate, well, it looks like it's in pretty good condition. But what I'm looking for here is, where's the spring? I should have an eccentric spring here, and I'm not seeing it. So let's take this off. We'll show you how to fix that eccentric, service this reel. We'll take that part from the other one, and hopefully we'll just get this thing right back up and running again. We'll want to change the line out on this reel, but this is a very strong reel. This is a reel that's designed for salt water. It became the replacement reel to the Pen 209 309 series. It was a graphite frame, that's the G, and, well, it's just, overall, it's a nice reel, and it stood the test of time. Now, since then, this reel, well, this one was made in the US, but the GT2s, they were made in China after an initial run here in the US, so that puts them around 2005. And then subsequently from there, the reels were discontinued and replaced by the Penn Squall and a Penn Fathom. So you kind of have a little bit of a lineage there in terms of what's what. I'm going to just take a moment here while I take this handle and the like off to, well, you might as well clean it up. This is not just about how to do a quick fix, it's about how to keep the reel serviced and repaired. And one of the things you want to do is you want to take the time to clean the parts when you have them off. Who knows when the next time will be. This is kind of interesting. I thought this was a severely corroded star adjuster, and what it really is just dirty. It's going to clean up nicely. We'll do both sides on that. I'm using a 4.0 steel wool and an automotive chrome polish by Turtle Wax. And it just does fine. There's lots of products on the market that'll do a nice job here. One of them would be Flitz. Flitz makes a nice metal polish. And this one, well, I've been using it for a long time. And I like the way it performs, so I keep using it. There's 4 screws that hold on the bridge. There's also a little shim we can take out here. That's the spacer for your star adjuster. And this is going to make a nice reel. We're on the mid-Atlantic coast. This is a good reel for inshore or offshore fishing. It can be used for trolling. It can be used for drop fishing. The species you would target around here for drop fishing would be sea bass, tog or blackfish, fluke or summer flounder, and they all do well. Alright, we've got the 4 screws out. This should simply push off, and there is an anti-reverse dog right here that you need to pay attention to. So let's push that through, bring that out, and we can see that there is evidence that this has not been serviced in quite some time. We do have a bearing here. It seems to be running okay. We might want to replace that bearing. We'll take a look in a moment. We have our main gear stack here, and we'll want to check the drags. The drags are modern HT100 drags. They appear to be in pretty good condition, but we're kind of working right now on this free spool release Eccentric, because it doesn't appear that the spring is working. So of course, if you take notes and you know how to do this yourself, you can get a reel at a bargain. I'm going to take the yoke and that off. Yeah, we have the spring in here. It's broken. But the spring process, well, it's fairly easy to replace those. We'll show you how to do that. And well, if you like these kinds of videos, again, please subscribe. If you have questions about these processes, then leave them in the comment section. Alright. So this is the broken spring. Part of it. I want to know where the other part is. Maybe that's what's causing this to be as it is. And you're going to start your eccentric replacement by removing the lever. And that's going to give us an opportunity to do a couple of things. It's going to give us the opportunity to clean up this case, and I think that's going to clean up nicely as well. It's not a new reel. You can see that the decals have worn off, but it is a good reel nonetheless. Now we're going to go back to that steel wool and that chrome polish again. Just a little dab, and it'll clean this ring up nicely. I believe this is a stainless ring at this point. And we're going to have to go find that spring, the eccentric spring. There's 2 sides, or 2 types of those springs. One loads from the left, one loads from the right. It's just the way the Penn happened to do that. This one's loading from the left, so I need to find the one that corresponds to that. But we'll do a little bit of cleanup on this. And then on the case, it's a graphite case. I'm going to use a kitchen scrubby and Penn's rod and reel cleaner for that. But again, I think this is among the easier ones in terms of why did the reel fail. Quite honestly, it's something you don't see a lot of because, well, I don't know how that Pawl got ground down the way it did. One of my concerns here, and again, I have that set of donor parts there. But one of my concerns is that it damaged the worm gear when all of that was happening. We're going to find out. Alright, just cleaning up the back end of the case here. You want to get rid of all the old greases, dirt, and debris. This is going to seat over the top, like that. And we're going to want to put that on before we go reinstall that eccentric. This is your eccentric. So a little bit of dirt on that. And on your eccentric, you want to make sure that you clean off any old greases and oils which are on here. And now we're going to pause the video while I go find that spring. Okay, I was able to locate that spring. It's the same spring that's in a Penn 113H Senator. And as I mentioned, one comes in from one side, so you'll see that the long arm, which is going to seat in the case, and the turn up here. The other one would be a mirror image of it, where it would be pointed that way with the turn up. Alright, let's take a moment here. We're just going to put a little bit of grease on, or oil onto the shaft here. Find your hole in your eccentric. Find the hook point. Bring that in, like that. And then there's a V in the case, right here, that point is going to sit. So load that into the V. Bring your eccentric over. Seat that into the case. And then it's always a little bit tough because this has got to swing up. So sometimes you can grab it with your arm. Sometimes you need a little bit more of an assist. But if you were to put it on right now, you won't have the clearance. So put it on, turn it till you get a point of equilibrium. I had it and just lost it as I tried to show it to you. It's right about there. And you can see we're balanced right there right now. So that with that in balance, now we can flip that arm over. And we'll take the eccentric screw. Get that started. So we had two issues with this one. The first one is a bad Pawl. Haven't solved that one yet. But we know that that's the cause of the issue. The second one was this. Now you'll see we have a nice tight eccentric spring that works as opposed to the one that's broken. Next up, let's clean the bridge here. And I noted that I think we want to replace that bearing. So I'm going to take a moment here while I'm cleaning this up. Go search for a bearing for the reel. If you're using this to cast from shore, you definitely want to replace that bearing. Oil our little holder. And we'll be back. Okay, I was able to locate a new bearing, clean up the bridge, put that back together. While I had the camera off, I also cleaned the yoke and the jack, and now we'll take a look at the main gear and we can start the reassembly here. So we're going to drop out all of these. You just don't want to just say, okay, well, the top one's got an HT100 in it. Must be a good stack. You want to go back and check all of these just to make sure. Sometimes a repair shop or something will take a shortcut. If it has a bad drag, it'll just replace the one. And since this reel is over 20 years old, you do want to make sure you have everything in here the way it should be. Alright, we've cleaned off the inner chamber. We're going to take our brush and pull through the teeth to make sure all the dirt and debris is out of there. This is a clean gear. No bends, no misshapen teeth and the like. And now we can start the rebuild. This has got a lot of drag. It's got a 10 washer system in it. They alternate the fabrics with the metals. I'm going to put them on the post because it's a little bit easier to do it this way. Start with the washer. How do you know the washer is good? Well, if you check, these are almost new. If you can still see the cross hatching, if it hasn't worn off, you've got plenty of use left in those washers. First one is one of the real washers. It's called a keyed washer. It's a rectangular shape on the inside. You alternate that with the washer that's called an eared washer. It has the 2 points on it. Those 2 points locate into the center of the slots, and you just alternate. So another keyed washer, top washer, second of the eared washers. You can see how those slots are now in that main gear. We have one more up top here, and we have the top washer for this. So your main gear is set. Now we're going to use fishing reel grease. We're going to use Penn Precision reel grease here. That's going to go into the teeth on the main gear. I use an artist's brush to spread the grease. It doesn't shed its hair, so I kind of like it for that reason. Also, at this time, we're going to put some grease onto the shoulders for the yoke. It's called the yoke because it looks like the yoke of an oxen. And we're going to put the grease onto your pinion gear. And now we can start the setup. So the big issue on this side here was that we had to replace the eccentric spring, which was done. I will take the opportunity to put the main springs in for the yoke. There's 2 cavities. They fit in each. Next up then would be to take our yoke assembly as we've put it back together. The slot in the pinion gear faces out. Press down, and then you need to work your jack over the stud and push in. There we go. And that is your yoke, your pinion gear with slot facing out, and your jack. And we can put a little bit of grease here where it's going to ride in on the main gear. Now your assembly must include setting your anti-reverse dog and spring. So hold your yoke in place, bring over your bridge assembly, and before you clamp it down completely, bring your dog into the bottom position and let it rest there. Grab a fully threaded screw, bring it in from the other side of the case, and then you can just work that dog over so that the screw goes through the hole in the dog. And now what you want to do is position the bridge over the 2 studs here. Make sure that your pinion gear is inside the bridge, and then you can tighten up that screw that's holding that anti-reverse dog in. But don't tighten it up all the way. You want to make sure that you seat the other 3 screws before you complete that task. There are 2 screws that are partially threaded. Those go through the springs on the top. That's so that the springs don't catch on that as they're going back and forth in free spool. Check to make sure that you're lined up. And again, partially tighten it until you get the other 2 screws set. Fully threaded screw goes underneath that. One more up top on the other side. Then once you get that one set, you can tighten all of them up. And this is an example of what I was saying about before. We need a little bit of wiggle room there. There we go. Okay, that one's tight. Go in the next pattern. Tighten that one, tighten that, come back over here, tighten this. Go up top on the other side, tighten that. And now we have that matter of getting that little spring onto the stud in the case for your anti-reverse. So I just use a pick and I grab it in the center of that spring hole, bring it up and loop it on, and press it down with my screwdriver to make sure we have a firm hold. Now we have the anti-reverse in place. You can see how it's operating. All right, to complete the assembly on this side then, we need that spacer for gear post sleeve. That goes on. And our cleaned up star adjuster goes on. On the star adjuster, you're going to find one side has the part number on it that faces down. And then be careful with this. You don't want to cross strip this. You need to just kind of manage it so that it goes in nice and square. Sometimes it's not that easy to do, so just be patient with it. Keep working it until you feel that it's seated properly. With the spool installed, let's take our case and put that back on. We did put the new bearing in there, so that should make this run smoother. We put the new spring on, the new bearing on. Let's lock the case in. Fork case screws are all the same. It's something you should notice as you take and work on your reels, is are they the same or different? If they are different, you need to notice where the difference is and put the larger, smaller, wider, narrower screw, whatever it might be that's the difference in that particular slot when it's time to reinstall. Well, we still haven't pulled that Pawl from that donor reel over there. We will in a moment. Right now we're getting the reel back to where it was. The big difference that we had here, of course, cleaned it up, and more importantly, notice that there was a broken eccentric spring. I noticed that when I was testing it, even without being able to turn the reel. I don't know how that occurred. I can speculate, but that doesn't do any good. So let's just put this back, hope that the worm gear is not damaged. Now I did a quick look and it did not appear as though it was, but that got ground down pretty darn good. I've never seen one that's lost both of its teeth there. And it got rusted into the case. So first thing we're going to do is just kind of pull a Pawl from the second one of the donor reels. Put it on and hopefully it drives nicely. And if it doesn't, well, then we're going to have to replace the worm gear. Alright, I just put some oil on there just to give it a quick test. We're going to be fine. Alright, let's grab one of these. And this is the same Pawl assembly. So we should be able to remove this. The nice thing about keeping a reel like this or buying a reel thinking about the future is, well, sometimes you may find that you need one, and when the price is right, it's a good opportunity to do it. Well, this Pawl is dirty, but I think it's going to be okay. We have to clean the shoulders on this first. Spray that down with a little bit. You know what? I think we're going to try the other one. This one's got a lot of dirt on it. So we'll take the other box. Like I said, I got two of these. And I didn't pay much for them because, well, there wasn't much here, right? You're missing the whole side plate. And I have no idea what happened to that along the way, but that's okay. All right, now we got a cleaner one. We're going to go with that. Put these back into the bag there. Clean cap, clean pawl. Some oil on it. Looks like it's a new pawl. Very good. All right, let's thread this back in. Be careful with these. You don't want to cross strip the carriers. There we go. And use the appropriate screwdriver for the slot in the cap. Right, let's turn this. We need to get that pawl seated. Generally turning it will enable the forks to get into it. And here's where we're concerned, because this is where it stopped. Okay, it's going right back and forth the way it should. So we got lucky with this one. The worm gear is not damaged. Okay. This one had this underneath. I'm going to go back and put this back under. That's the value of a parts tray. You take a look at what you have. And if you find that there's something there that may be out of sequence, you have the opportunity to go back and reseat it and reset your work. Okay, that's done. Handle. Let's tighten that down. Pretty sure we put the oil in there before. Let's do that again, just in case we didn't. Bring over the handle, screw. Tighten that down. Make sure that your scallop aligns with the hole for the retention screw. That aligned, we want to take that screw, set that in there. This is the last piece. Maybe we'll give it a test. Yeah, we did. Okay, so that's that. We took a reel that was only a couple of dollars at a flea market because, well, it was stuck. We went inside the reel and we found out that there were two issues really with the stick. One of them was a line guide pawl that was frozen and chewed up, and I don't know where those points ever went. I didn't discover them when we were inside the reel. We found out that the reel also had a rusted bearing. We replaced that, and more importantly, it had a broken eccentric spring that controls free spool. It's all been solved now. We're in good condition with that. We can release, and we have the free spool, which is going to allow the line to cast, and then back into gear for the crank. When we turn, we got a beautiful functioning reel all around. So when this line guide pawl broke, it didn't scar the worm gear, which is fortunate for everybody. So this reel's got a lot of fishing left in it. As I mentioned, it was a replacement for the Pen 209. It was a much sturdier frame. It's a graphite frame, and it's meant for deep sea fishing. So hopefully we'll get this out on the water, fishing again, after it's given a second chance. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. I truly appreciate what it is you do day in and day out, and your commitment to your cause. I also want to thank all of our channel viewers for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you found it educational and interesting. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. And I want to wish everybody great times on the water and fun fishing. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.